Okay.
It's on. It's on.
Wait.
Okay.
No. No. Oh.
Okay. So you have to make sure you put your things on your grain line because your knits, they're actually knitted as a circle. They are like a tube, like a stole. You know when you have that little nail thing that you do your yarns around and it comes a tube? That's how these knits are made. When they're rolling down, they have an actual blade that cuts it. That's why you can open it and have it a flat piece of fabric. Otherwise, it's a tube. Okay? Now, some of the fabrics will add a little bit of glue on the edge. Sometimes when you see in the fabrics that it kind of like clumpy on the edge, that's actually glue so it doesn't come apart. Okay? So this is what I want to be conscious of this when I take it out. Because otherwise, since it has a four-way stretch, I'm not gonna know or be able to recognize which is the direction of it. Yes, I can get a magnifying glass and I can look at the stitches and realize which one is which and which one is which order, right? But we're not gonna do that. We're just gonna cut it and make sure that we have our grain line where it's supposed to be. And this is where it comes in, what I keep repeating you. Think about your table being the edge of your fabric. See how I'm putting my grain line on the edge of my fabric so I can follow my numbers on the edge of the fabric. Now, the reason why I'm trying to explain this, because cutting is not such science, you guys are experts by now, is because this is a knit, and this is a knit with spandex. And I know my pins are very sharp. Some of your pins are not going to be as sharp. So you might encounter that you try to put your pin in and it's not gonna go through your fabric. Also, once you start working in here, look at everything that is moving underneath. So guess what? You worked on a pattern that probably fits really well, but then when it kept moving around, then you didn't cut it like the pattern. So when you have unusual and complicated fabrics that give you this issue, and I'm gonna bring out a couple of other ones, like for example, chiffon, georgette, crepe, all of those fabrics that have weight and they move. The best way to cut it so it doesn't have this issue, because if I have a chiffon, it's a woven fabric, right? We would rip it across so we have the perfect across line. But then when you're laying down, your grain line is on the grain line, but your cross grain line is not. Then your pieces get all distorted, okay? So what is the best way to fight this problem? You actually are going to lay paper, okay? Do you mind lift this so I can stretch out the paper? Now you can put it on top. Okay. So I'm going to, since we don't have that much space, I'm gonna do just the front. And the back is the same, and you guys don't need to sit and watch me do all of them, okay? But I'm gonna do the front because it's single. For the back, what I'm going to do,
The back.
huh?
Back is.
You're doing the back.
Oh, he's
I'm not doing anything, I haven't picked up any patterns.
Oh, because it's under.
Ah, okay. Okay.
There you go.
So, I told you guys do not cut on the fold, but you can cut folded, okay? So I'm gonna take the other side of it when I do the backs, and I'm going to lay my fabric flat, and I'm gonna place this folded, making sure that I measure so it's perfectly perpendicular, this edge with the other edge. And then I'm gonna put my pattern and cut the two backs at once, okay? But I'm gonna do the front. So I'm gonna lay the fabric here, and if you have those flimsy fabrics that I just mentioned, like chiffon, georgette, crepe, that they move, I'm actually going to rip it across like we have done before, and I'm gonna line it to the edge of the numbers. So that way it doesn't get shifted. The grain line will be on the grain line, but not the cross grain line. So if I line it up across and I line it on the grain line, then neither ones of those threads are going to be off the way that's supposed to be. Does that make sense? Okay.
When you cut the pattern, are you gonna cut the paper as well?
Yes, exactly.
Does that make it easier?
Yes, that's what I'm showing you. Yes, yes. I don't want to waste another tree, but this is the only way that I can have that accuracy. Okay? So, yes. But you see, this is almost like slime, right? I mean, I used to call it boogers, but it's like slime. It moves like nothing, right? So now I can put my pattern, and now I'm going to measure, okay? I'm gonna be a little bit more savvy. My paper underneath has numbers, right? So if I put my number 1 with the number 4, and my line number 1 with the number 4 is exactly the same as if I would have measured, yes? Okay. We're all really, really, really smart, so we can figure that out. When I pin, I'm gonna pin all of the 3 layers. I'm actually pinning like a ice cream sandwich. Oh, I'm hungry. Okay? So we're gonna have our pattern, the fabric in the middle, and we're gonna have the paper underneath. So in cutting rooms, they actually use a cheaper type of paper. You know that brown packing paper, call it craft paper? That's really what is used. Now, don't be surprised if you go to a cutting room supply place, they're gonna offer you a pink tissue paper. Do not get it for this, because it's gonna rip underneath. The pink tissue paper is, I'm gonna explain why, so you're taking this opportunity for a learning experience, okay? Let's say, for example, I cut, I don't know, 500 of your t-shirts, but I get only 50 t-shirts per roll. So if I'm cutting 500, I'm gonna need 10 rolls. Now, even though the color looks identical, all colors on different rolls are not necessarily exactly the same shade. So you lay all the layers from one roll, and when you run out the roll, you put a piece of pink tissue paper, and then you lay the other roll. So whoever is sorting when they're sewing it, they will always pick up the pieces from the same roll. So that way you don't end up having a sleeve slightly, same color, but slightly different, because once it's sewn, it's gonna be very noticeable. Not when it's a separate piece. When you sew a separate piece, you're gonna look at it and it's like, oh, identical. And then when you do that, you're gonna find out that actually it was damaged, and it looks like second quality. So I'm gonna extend to this. When I had my business, I used to make these suits, and I started getting them back. There were customers complaining because the center front was slightly different than the other center front. And it took me a long time to figure it out, because when I laid all my pattern pieces, it was center front, center back, side back, you know, in order, center front and center front. What I found out is that the roll was faded on one side and not on the other. So once the garment is put together, even though the roll looked the same color, it was slightly different in shade, and that's why it was. Can I borrow your good fabric scissors, if you don't mind? So I forgot to bring.
You can complain to like
I had to, yeah, I had to replace them.
What happened with this roll?
Well, no, I went back to the manufacturer and say, you sold me damaged goods, right? But yeah,
Question, your fabric scissors don't get damaged if you do paper?
yes. Not with this.
Oh, it doesn't.
Yeah, not with this.
Because it knows. They decide not to because, oh, there's fabric in the
Yeah,
roll.
well, I was
But
just
it's always
saying,
when they're like,
no beer before, what's that saying? You
Oh,
know-
no, what is it? No wine before beer, but beer
Yeah,
after
okay.
wine.
Okay, here it is. No paper scissors with fabric, and no fabric scissors with paper. Because
crazy.
paper would take the sharpness of your scissors, and then doesn't work on fabric. So now you're just gonna cut it.
But you're kind of paper.
Huh?
But the
So you're
scissors
kind of.
No, when you have fabric in the middle, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
the
Yeah.
scissor knows. Yeah.
Now you
That
also
makes
know
sense.
that
He
your
knows.
your scissors are not forever,
It knows.
right? You have to sharpen it every once in a while.
It's like that in the kitchen too. Like you can't use the knife
He's bending.
on plastic or
Yeah,
other
you
things.
can't use the same knife to kill your husband, but then you can use it to base
Oh, you're very
to cut the turkey.
tenacious.
Oh, wait a minute. He's bending.
You're on record. You're on record. Remember that.
It's okay. You can use mine.
Too late now.
It's not your. It's not your pair
You
of
got
scissors.
offended.
I know. I don't want to ruin your scissors.
He said they're not forever, right?
Sorry.
Splash zone.
Okay. So measure how much you need and cut across. And if we run out of the fabric, we have another roll to pull out.